And hello again, YouTube. Still June 22nd, Wednesday, 2022, 4:26 p.m. Oh man, I stopped to check Google traffic and put the phone up so I could record. And when I was sitting, pulled over the side of the side street here, there was no traffic. I could have just went right out across this overly huge road here, but now I'm ready to go forward. I'm stuck behind traffic, which is, fine, whatever. Wow, Lucky Kitchen Chinese restaurant is gone, and y'all can't see it, but it's there on my left. That place has been there forever. Yeah, it looks like some developer bought the property. The whole area is just fenced off. Here's my chance. They're like trying to turn left across 4 lanes of traffic. Yeah, this is just obscene. Three lanes eastbound, 4 lanes westbound, and a chicken lane, left turn lane in the middle, and of course no bike lanes. And not that I would use a bike lane on this road if it had one, because bike lanes and roads, as I've said many times, is just a bad idea. But yeah, this is when you see urbanism videos on channels like Not Just Bikes and City Nerd and whatnot, when they talk about the evils of stroads. I mean, they should do a case study on this road, because this is so many pedestrians get injured and killed just trying to walk across the street. And this is not a pedestrian heavy area. I mean, because come on, we're in Phoenix. But as Phoenix goes, it's a somewhat pedestrian heavy area, just because this is all kind of lower income, kind of a lower income area. So there are people around here who can't afford to drive. But it's not impossible to turn left. As you see, I managed to do it. So, but a little, almost 4:30 in the afternoon. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, check Google traffic. Freeways are pretty predictably bad right now. I'm headed to Rob's shop. Oh yeah, what's wrong with the car this time? The air conditioning has gone out, and that sucks because it's 105 out right now. So I'm sweating profusely. I'm driving with the window down, something I do not like to do, because it would just be brutal, as you can hear on cars. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Hopefully it's not making too much wind noise or whatever. But yeah, it's I don't want to do 7th Avenue. 7th Avenue sounds good. Part of me was thinking about not vlogging and just using, there's somebody walking, just using my Google traffic zoomed in, which I do like to do that a lot, just to look at potential traffic snags on surface streets and decide which surface street has the least amount of traffic, and maybe use little stretches of the freeways that don't have traffic, because I have no issues with getting on a freeway and going 2 miles and then jumping off of it to get to avoid traffic. But I figured this would be a more fun thing to shoot video of, since I'm doing something rather than my normal, boring working back to Amazon commute, or driving back and forth to what do you call it? Wallace Cocktails. So you probably can't see it very well, but on the right, on the other side of the center section of 7th Avenue in Osborne, facing south, is a Sprouts Farmers Market. But that building, interesting little bit of Phoenix history for you, that building is the original Bash's'. That's the first Bash's', was the first Bash's' store. They did close a few years back. The store wasn't doing so great. It's super busy as a Sprouts. For what it's worth, this part of town is become really popular with hipsters, and it's also, I guess what you would call the neighborhood. So this is yeah, it's the right demographics for Sprouts, and that Sprouts is very busy. So a lot of gentrification going on in this area. So yeah, that's a good thing. But I do believe Phoenix lost some history with losing that Bash's'. Although Bash's' is no longer a locally owned grocer, it was sold earlier this year, late last year, to a large, national corporation. So yeah, I don't even know that there really is a hometown grocer anymore. Fry's long ago sold to Kroger, and now Bash's', I forget the name of the company. I'm glad they at least kept the Bash's' names and the Food City names, the same company. Bash's' bought out Food City a long time ago. But anyway, worth mentioning, and one of my best friends, probably my best friend to be honest, has really into drones and shooting video with drones, and he went into that Bash's' like in its, if not its last day of business, it's nearly last day of business, with a drone and flew it around inside the store and posted a video of it on YouTube. I'll try to remember to put it in the description, but yeah, it's a pretty entertaining video because it's not too often you can get away with flying a drone inside a grocery store. And it's interesting to watch because by that time, there's a lot of empty shelves. So interesting. That's not what I was going to talk about. I'm just sitting at a red light, and hey, look, there's the original Bash's', or what's left of it. Now it's Sprouts. And it just made me think of that video of my friend flying a drone through it. Wish I could have been there with him for that. That was pretty wild. Anyway, so yeah, freeways not good right now, but as you can see, 7th Avenue moving along just fine, as it almost always is. Gas tank's getting kind of low. That's a little scary, but I should be pretty good. I should be pretty good all the way to Rob's shop. I need to just make as good a time of it as I can. I did hit him up on the phone. I found a lot of times with AC stuff, he's able to drop what he's doing and just connect the hoses and whatnot and get it going almost instantly. It's hard to say what's gone wrong with it, but it went from being ice cold on the drive to reschedule with my therapist to, wow, it's not blowing cold, as I was driving to Amazon yesterday. So could be a lot of things. Could be the compressor has finally failed. I want to say I put a new compressor on this. When I bought this car, it didn't have air conditioning, and I forget what I paid for it, but I think I paid like $1,100 cash. I forget what the guy was asking for it. And I've had this car, I want to say 3 years, maybe 4 years. Anyway, I bought it from some guy on Craigslist who was pretty sketchy. I'm absolutely convinced he damaged the odometer, because the odometer is cracked in a way that it just wouldn't naturally crack. I'm 100% sure the guy deliberately cracked the odometer so I wouldn't see how many miles are on it. It's like, come on, dude, it's an 06 Saturn. It should have a lot of miles on it. But the big thing was it didn't have air. Like he said, the air worked in his Craigslist ad. I'm like, yeah, the air doesn't work. He's like, it just needs Freon. I said, I don't know that. I don't know that. I have no way of knowing that. It could just need Freon. It could need the entire air conditioning system rebuilt. I have no way of knowing that. And anyway, I talked him down to $1,100 just because it's like, dude, you're trying to sell a car with no air conditioning in Phoenix in July. The car drove good, ran good, and I mean, I could tell the front end had, I could tell from just the way it drove that the front end had some issues, had some miles on it. But I mean, the motor, it shifted good, it drove good. Yeah, I'll pay $1,100 for that. It seems to have a clear title. At least you've got the paperwork, you've got the right paperwork on it. I need something that drives, I'll deal with the air. Anyway, Rob fixed the air. It seems like there's a couple of times it's kind of No, I think I think that's probably the first thing Rob fixed on this car is the air, and I don't think I've ever had a problem with the air conditioning on this car since then. If I did, I don't remember. But anyway, yeah, it's I want to say he replaced the compressor when I got it, so it could be the compressor went. I don't think it would be the belt. I'm reasonably sure this car has a serpentine belt, so if I threw the belt, nothing would be working. It could be it just blew a Freon hose or popped a seal, lost all my Freon, which that's a pretty comparatively easy fix and cheap fix. I don't know what the compressor for this costs. That could be a little bit pricey, but I'll deal with it. Could be something hit the condenser and put a leak in the condenser. I don't know. I'm on my way to Rob's shop to figure it out. So I guess I should be glad that Priscilla had the repair guy there, because otherwise I probably would have just rolled over, went back to sleep, and not handled this. I don't need to handle this. Pretty stoked I made it to Jeff's. It's really hard for me to be awake, because obviously Jeff is not open at 6 in the morning, when I get off work, and he closes at 5, sometimes a little earlier. So trying to get somewhere before 5 when I'm getting up. Typically I get up at about 5:30. So to get somewhere before 5, when Phoenix traffic is at its absolute worst, is it's kind of a challenge for me, especially since I often have trouble getting to sleep. Even though I typically get home, between 6 and 7 in the morning. Sometimes, just in spite of my attempts to get to sleep, I don't get to sleep until nearly noon. And a lot of times, I just simply don't sleep well. And a lot of that just has to do with, just the fact that I'm just incredibly sexually frustrated, and with Priscilla not helping me out at that end, I'm just waking up with, certain grown man cravings, and it's made sleeping difficult, and I've mentioned that to her, and she doesn't care, so whatever. And there's not a lot she can do once she goes to work anyway. Now, she has basically been off work the last 2 days due to whatever the issue is with my internet. I've said many times, I'm really irritated that she's still working from home out of my daughter's room. I really need that room empty so I can pursue getting my youngest daughter back into my life, and trying to figure out where the heck her mother has disappeared with her too. But at this point, it would be pointless for me to do that, because I don't have my home is not suitable for her, with Priscilla having invaded her bedroom. And I've been telling her for, basically since, when she first started, it was a pandemic, and there were no offices open, so it's like, okay, I get it, that's fine. And her having to save the apartment, there were a couple of months there where I was just in absolute dire straits before I got on, right before I got on at Amazon, and her having this job is a reason I still have an apartment. Now, would other people have maybe helped me? Maybe not. I check out all this urban renewal going in here, brand new luxury apartments on the left, in a horribly hood part of town. It's crazy seeing this area gentrified. Lacanasta Mexican food on the left there. That place is excellent. And now we are very much in the hood. These apartments on the right, they look nice. That's projects. That's government housing. Replaced Depression era. Replaced some extremely sketchy Depression era housing projects that were there. But it might look pretty on the outside, but it's the same demographic that's living there. So friend, I've totally lost touch with her, a very attractive woman I used to hang out with quite a bit, that come to my karaoke shows, and she was living in there, and she told me that the apartment is not bad, but yeah, sketchy neighbors, and that the worst thing about it is that absolutely nobody would deliver a pizza to her. And like, nope, we don't go south of the train tracks on the other side of downtown, sorry. So, used to be Phoenix Memorial Hospital on the left. There's still a sign that says Phoenix Memorial, but I think at this point it's just a clinic. I don't think there's an emergency room or a full hospital there anymore, which is a bummer. It's definitely one of Phoenix's like older hospitals. Yeah, corporate takeover of hospitals has kind of killed local hospitals, and that's kind of a sad thing. Person walking on the streets almost looks like she's a working girl. Hard to say though. This isn't really the district for that. Oh, I'm torn. Torn. It's 105 out, and I don't want my windows up, but yeah, I'm not going to handle highway speeds. That you don't use that as a passing lane. Get around me, dude. I got a compensator Dodge Ram right behind me. Trying to get around me. You know, it kind of kills me. Like, I had to cross over the double yellow lines to get into this turn lane. And you think Phoenix could address that and look at the fact that, you know, how much traffic backs up on that left turn lane during busier traffic times, and just simply make the left turn arrow longer. Wow, we got some homeless camps on the left side here. That's new. Never noticed homeless camps there before. Dang, completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, I can't handle highway speeds and wind coming at me through the window. Just absolutely can't. And you wouldn't be able to hear me anyway if I did. I got the right side window cracked. Hopefully that will keep it from getting too stifling hot in here. Bring the left rear down, get a little cross flow of air. Yeah, like I've mentioned before, I'm reasonably convinced I've got high functioning autism, but I've never been properly diagnosed with that. But I have pretty much all the symptoms that Asperger's on the inside. I've been watching that YouTube channel quite a lot, and then when I started watching that, I started getting similar channels popping up in my feed. I don't really watch the other ones much anymore, but I really do enjoy the content on Asperger's from the inside, and like almost everything that he describes. Like I struggle with that. And definitely one of them is I do have sensory issues, and yeah, moving air, too much moving air, just really it impairs my ability to concentrate to the point it's just not a good idea for me to be driving if I've got wind coming in my face. This is doable though. I mean, I'm sweating. It is what it is. Hopefully Rob can fix my air conditioning. I highly doubt he's going to be able to take care of it today, but hopefully we can. I haven't committed to an overtime shift over this weekend. Amazon didn't hit me with a mandatory overtime extra day, so I'll probably take the full weekend off and let Rob work on my air conditioning while I work on my bedroom. So anyway, I remember. It's my subconscious trying to get me off the subject. So I expect I'm going to get heavy traffic once I get on the other side of the split. But I still think this is probably going to be my best option to get to Rob's shop, because I got to get across the Salt River somehow. As you can see, traffic, and maybe you can't see it, traffic going the other direction on the I-17 is just in an absolute crawl. Yeah, it looked like the traffic view on Google Maps was green right until you get on the other side of the Salt River. So I'm probably going to hit some congestion here, but I'll just stay in the right lane and exit as quickly as I can on 32nd Street. And oh look, this is the first time I've driven that since they've realigned the lanes for the construction. So they're doing a big I-10 widening project, pretty much all the way through the Broadway curve. I believe it's going to extend all the way south of the 60 and encompass the transition to the 60. I still haven't looked at anything from ADOT to get details on how they're planning on doing it, but yeah, this is definitely that our fuck cars meme of just one more lane will fix it. Just one more lane will fix it. And to be fair, if done right, one more lane can fix it. I mean, I think induced demand, as it's often presented on urbanism YouTube channels, is, I'm not going to say it's not a real phenomenon, because it is, but I think they kind of twist it in a way that it's oh wow, this is actually smooth sailing all the way to 32nd Street exit. That worked out nicely. Yeah, it's, as you can see, it's starting to congest right up ahead of me there on the I-10, but that's not where I'm going. Yeah, I do good getting around traffic in Phoenix, even at the worst times, but that's just all my experience as a cab driver, and knowing what freeways congest and knowing what freeways and the roads don't, and knowing my options to being on the freeway, and always, using Google aggregated, to the minute traffic view to see, hey, what's going on? What are my current traffic snags? I mean, I'm doing this right now with you, even listening to traffic reports on KTAR. I looked at that and I'm like, okay, there's traffic snarls. That looks like a pretty normal pattern. No accidents I need to watch out for. I'll go this route, and this route's working nice. There's no shortage of case studies where, induced demand, they added a lane, and it just moved the traffic jam a little further down the road. But I don't know. I feel if I was a traffic engineer, I've got a pretty good grip of, like, in my head. I mean, we ran all these computer models. I don't know. I run these in my head all the time. There's a part of my subconscious that's always thinking about this kind of stuff, and one more lane sometimes can fix it. Now it's interesting to when these same urban channels are talking about the thing to fix traffic is densification. Hey, when development becomes denser, do you just leave the same old pipes? Do you put in thicker, wider pipes and additional pipes to get the water and electricity to all this additional population that's moving into these dense areas? But common sense tells you you're going to have to add more pipes to the electric, more the capacity to hold more amperage to the electrical infrastructure, and to hold more water flow for the water system, and also going in the other direction for the sewage system. So, with additional, it does stand. I mean, I'm all for mass transit. I really am. I'm a very, very pro-transit guy. But let's face it, people love their cars. I love my cars. People are going to drive, and there needs to be a balance, and sometimes that balance is another lane. But I do think a lot of times that balance is another route and is another freeway. I mean, the biggest thing that Phoenix has done to relieve congestion on the I-10 has been completing the 202 around South Mountain. There's a lot of traffic that isn't on I-10 anymore that used to be, and that's been the game changer. And I've got faith in ADOT that this project is going to help a lot. Anyway, I'm rolling into Rob's shop, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for coming with On the Drive.